Welcome to the 2012 Los Angeles Auto Show. My name's Dean Case. I manage the communications for Mazda Speed Motorsports. But today I get to do a little different role. I get to talk to three of my buddies. We're going to talk about the new 2014 Mazda 6 here. We're getting ready. It's a little bit chaotic. This is a setup day at the LA Auto Show. We're going to talk a little bit about the design. We're going to talk a little bit about the powertrain. And what's nearest to my heart, we're going to talk about racing this car with one of my good friends who also races. So, Derek, we're going to introduce Derek Jenkins, and this is going to be live to tape here. There's no rehearsals. We have not done this before.
Good to see you.
But Derek's my buddy here. Derek's been running the operations for Mazda Design for what, 3.5 years now?
3.5 years, yeah.
So,
Still kind of a newbie, but been involved in a lot of fun projects since I've been here.
But we're going to talk. Tell us about this stunning car here.
Oh gosh, this is the new all-new Mazda 6. You know, we've been working on this project basically for the last 3 years, 2.5, 3 years. It started with the, the Shinari concept vehicle. We did that in 2010 and showed it in Milan, Italy. And that was really kind of the first step in the new form language, which we call KODO. And this is the second production vehicle behind CX-5 to really capture that design language.
How would you describe KODO?
You know, KODO is all about the proportion of the car and the overall dynamics of the car. So you see with the Mazda 6, there's a lot of movement, a lot of flow in the volumes of the vehicle, and we really established that with the Shinari concept. The other thing is the whole new face of the vehicle is really part of this KODO generation of cars. It's a lot more upright, it's a lot more confident, a little more sinister, We're trying to capture that in the car.
Design guys like to talk, you're very sophisticated in your design language and how you communicate this, but for the person who just sees on the street, what's their reaction to be? Wow or sinister? Or?
We don't want the car to look like it's standing still. We want the car to very much look alive if possible. Look in motion, look alive, look dynamic, and try to get that quality across. Give the cars character, you know what I mean? And that's really why we speak in those terms.
Yeah. Well, why don't you want to walk us through from end to end?
Absolutely.
What were you thinking here?
I mean, let's start with the front. Like I mentioned before, it's more upright. We have our signature grille blade, which has started with the CX-5, and now we brought it in here. A lot more of this eagle-eye type front character, and that's what gives the car a lot more of this sinister look. Really pronounced fenders on the front, and that's again part of the KODO language that we brought through CX-5.
Did you get pushback from engineering? This is a very complex shape. That can't be easy to manufacture.
The biggest challenge with things like this is pedestrian impact. We have a lot of legislation in this area, so trying to get it really low and sleek is, the hard part of our job, really, So 19-inch wheels, so the car has a really nice stance. Wheels are really pushed to the corner of the car. And then really dynamic sideline, really compact cabin that's it's more cab, we call it cab rearward. That just means that it's a longer hood and that the cabin of the car is more towards the rear. And that also gives it the dynamic that we're talking about with KODO design and gives it that kind of upmarket feeling, So around the back, same thing. Taillights really wide to the corners and really trying to get that strong stance. So we have a lot of sculpting in the rear bumper, very pronounced rear spoiler. All of that gives it this kind of, again, like sports sedan feeling, really compact trunk, very sleek and dynamic.
One of the things I like, this is I'd say it's a very subtle spoiler.
It's very subtle.
But it's usually an indication it's a working spoiler, not cosmetic.
Well, that's the thing. It's subtle in its size, but we wanted this to be very pronounced and sharp. We didn't want this clunky kind of floating wing. We wanted something very diffuser-like, and just more precise, but still that really, sticks out a little bit.
But also, that does add to the aerodynamics. This car,
no question.
Right.
Yeah.
Because Sky Active is not one thing, it's everything.
Absolutely.
And the fact that you did weight reduction, you did aerodynamics, you did...
Everything is involved in trying to get the most efficiency out of the vehicle, and you named it, engine is key, weight is key, and aerodynamics is key to achieve that. And it's not only about great fuel economy, it's also about the performance of the vehicle in general. So the design has to complement that and work towards those same goals as well. And hopefully the design says that, so that you asked about the customer on the street. I'm hoping they see that in the car, you know.
So any other features we want to talk about on the outside
You know,
there?
just if you look, what I really love about this car is just the sleekness of the cabin, you know. It's not your typical, we didn't want this typical family sedan feeling. Even though the car's got great space, great trunk size, we really want it to come off like a sports sedan or even a sports coupe. And this pillar, this cabin, and the way the wheels are placed into corners is what I think communicates.
Well, this is even
that,
also
you know?
a very aggressive color for a car of this size.
Yeah, we've worked really hard with this new generation of paint colors to get something that really helps to illuminate and highlight the sculpting that goes into the car. You know, we spend just so many hours sculpting in clay, trying to get this a certain quality, a certain sensuous feeling to the form language. And the paint is so critical to help show that off, especially under good lighting or California sun,
Yeah.
you know, really show off that form. And
How's this look outdoors in the courtyard?
Oh, unbelievable. It's just this red, we call it soul red, and it has a really fine technical metallic. When it's in the sunlight, it's explosive, you know,
Okay.
and really, again, really shows the strong highlights from the sun and then nice, deep, rich contours.
So whoever buys the car is going to need to have some mother's polish there to
I
make
hope
sure
so.
it keeps it
They're
clean.
going to want to keep it clean, you know, that's the idea, right?
Well, let's look inside. I mean, Mazda's always been a driver-oriented car company.
Yeah.
What were your thinking in here?
You know, and this is, again, goes back to KODO design and a little bit to do with Sky Active as well. You know, everything we do, we want it to not distract from the driving experience, you know. We want everything to be easy to understand, that someone can jump in this car,
Once you sit in.
and the second they sit in the car, they immediately feel like connected. They feel, you know, not a bunch of gizmos, not a bunch of lights and switches, just they feel comfortable. The visibility is outstanding. I mentioned the cab rearward before, cab rearward proportion. That means the A-post is a little farther back. So what happens is you get a better visibility out of from the driver's seat. And what's the number one thing you want when you're in a driver's car? You want to be able to see out, you know? And you think about a race car or anything, you have to have good visibility. Everything's really easy in close proximity, easy to touch. The other big thing with KODO design in this generation of Mazda 6 is material quality. All the soft touch finishes are very matte. They're very low sheen. We put a lot of effort into all the fine trim, aluminum trim, and that everything has a nice tactile quality to it and really looks upscale, you know. This is where we really feel like this car has a chance to be a kind of class above experience for our customers, and, you know, really kind of speaks to almost a more premium car, but at a more affordable price, you know. And the materials have been a big part of that. If you look at even our leather quality, perforation, the double saddle stitching, the highlight red, you know, all of that is kind of speaking to that.
Well, like you and I are about average height, but you've got several inches well above you, and this has a sunroof, which always takes away a little bit. So
That's
it looks
right.
like ample headroom for your 95th percentile American male.
And, you know, even though we want a sporty car and a sleek silhouette, you still have to have a respectable amount of space in the car. People have the expectations. I feel especially a Mazda customer expects the car to be both spacious and sleek and sexy, you know? And that's, as a designer, that's sometimes at odds, you know, because we always want to make the car really low, and trying to make the car look low is part of what being a good designer is about, you know?
Well, this is, you know, the Mazda 6 is an international car. It's going to be sold in other markets. How much of this, is there anything here that's unique for the U.S. market?
You know, there are small things that they fine-tune about the car, and we have some different colors, some different trims that sell in different markets around the world. But, you know, this is part of how we approach our products now, especially global products like the Mazda 6, is really a group effort among the design groups. You know, we have our studio here in California, and then another group in Germany, and then Japan, and we collectively go through this project stage by stage to optimize it for a global market, you know. And I think this product's really going to perform well globally, you know. That's my hope and my belief.
No, it looks great. So sometimes the design guys, you're involved at the earliest stages. Now, have you got to go out and drive it yourself? You've been on any?
Yes, I've been on some test drives with journalists and had that pleasure. It drives amazing. It drives like a sports sedan.
Yeah.
You know, it's not, like I said, it's not your typical kind of family sedan. It really feels like you're driving a sports sedan. And as with the CX-5, you feel like you feel space inside, but the car feels like a much more compact car because you can just toss it around, you know. And that's where I feel like this is a true Mazda, because it lives up to that, the zoom and the driving experience. And it's like that, you know, we want to do cars for people that love cars and love driving cars.
And it's affordable too. I mean, we used to joke years ago in the studio that it's far more difficult to design a great $20,000 sports car than a $100,000 sports car.
Absolutely. Doing a supercar is like, you could do that in your sleep.
Yeah.
That's not a, you know, it's fun.
Right.
But, you know, doing a good looking, you know, car that's in a mainstream segment, that's very challenging, very challenging.
Because yeah, the price targets, you know, you got to make it affordable. But
Price targets, people's expectations in these established segments, very challenging to meet those and give them something truly original.
so really, the person who's contemplating a vehicle in this segment, they need to get in and touch and feel and drive.
I would challenge or hope that any consumer that's serious about a mid-size sedan would drive this back to back with any of the mainstream competitors, because I think this car is head and shoulders above most of our competition, or all of it for that matter.
So you're playing around with a little control there.
This is our HMI controller, and this activates, we have a dual system where you can operate audio, navigation.
Now, hang on, you're going into designer speak. HMI.
Sorry, HMI, human machine interface.
Right.
And this controls audio, all your multimedia, your navigation, and phone features. You can also bypass this and do it on the touchscreen, because we find that sometimes people prefer touchscreen and sometimes people prefer.
Oh, so you're not locked into one or the other.
No, and that's very unique to Mazda.
Okay.
Typically, other companies have committed, so you always have to be touchscreen or you always have to be here. There's a little bit of a learning curve here, but once you have it, sometimes, personally, I find that this is better for visibility. You know, you're not trying to refocus here. You can just kind of manipulate.
So the driver can focus on driving.
Exactly.
You know,
And
the
you
whole
only
distracted
glance-
driver issues.
Exactly, and you only glance down periodically to see where the cursors are.
Okay. Well, thank you. Any other final thoughts other than you got a new baby that you're introducing to the world?
Yeah, we got a few things going on, but you know, it's, you know, I'm really excited about this project, and I'm excited to see how it's received. You know, because this is like that kind of period after a lot of work. You get to see something out on the road. You get to see the response to it, and you know, we're excited so far.
And I want to invite you. You got to come out and join us at the racetrack next year when we're going to be racing this.
As long as I can drive the car.
Well, I don't know. You'll have to talk to Jonathan Bomarito.
Okay, we'll see about that.
Good luck on that one.
Awesome.
Thank
Cool.
you.
Thanks, Dean. Appreciate it. We'll see you.